And advocacy groups in Durban are warning that if the city's sewage crisis isn't dealt with soon, many beaches and rivers could be closed for recreational use in the next 5 years. Now, aging and inadequate sewage infrastructure is causing major spills in the area with devastating consequences for water supply and, of course, the ecosystems. The city's Battery Beach was closed after the young children fell ill after surfing in the water. Stephen Cohen is the founder of Durbanites Against Plastic Pollution and joins me now for more. Stephen, I suppose it's very important for you to maybe paint a picture for our viewers as to how dire the situation is.
Thanks. Good evening. Yeah, the situation has been steadily declining over the last 5 years or so. I'm a water user who kayaks in the rivers and the sea on a daily basis. And this community of water users, we've seen the water quality deteriorating significantly. And it's now actually dangerous for swimmers and surfers to get into the water when there's been rain or if there's been a sewage leak. You heard of the instance of the 20 young children getting sick after being in the water in one of Durban's main beaches. But we often hear of accounts of surfers getting ill after surfing on some of Durban's main beaches when there's been a sewage spill. And the rivers as well are a major source of sewage contamination. There's a lot of sewage infrastructure that runs along the Durbanites River as well as into the Durban harbour. And most weeks there's a sewage leak. So recreational fishermen, subsistence fishermen, and canoeists have to deal with the smell and the sights of raw sewage in the river, which is obviously a public health issue.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you've been engaging with stakeholders with this particular issue, and we've just seen the visuals on our screens, and the situation is very dire indeed. But what has been the holdup? What is the issue around addressing this particular issue and really just finding a solution? Because it really doesn't look great at all.
Yeah, the city has held a few stakeholder engagement forums. There's one around the Durban harbour and pollution there. But sadly, you know, they don't always end up in any tangible action or results. There's always a lot of reasons given by the municipality, such as power outages and load shedding, lack of parts, not enough skilled engineers to repair some of the infrastructure. But at the end of the day, nothing gets done that we can see tangible results, and we just see the water quality continue to decrease. And that is why we're advocating for external help from national government, from development partners, from the private sector, and the NGO community, because we believe that you know, together, this complex problem can be dealt with much more effectively.
And I mean, Stephen, what could happen if the problem is not solved within the time period that you've indicated? Obviously, this would have some really deep implications for that ecosystem.
Absolutely. You know, studies have already found that pollution is affecting marine life off Durban shore. There's a lot of fish species have plastic pollution that also gets brought down from the stormwater system. But there's no doubt that if the trend continues like this, many of Durban's beaches, like Battery beaches now, will have to be closed until the city can guarantee that it's safe to swim there. And as we know, Durban's Golden Mile is a major tourism attraction, brings in a lot of revenue for the city and the province, is a big job creator. So it could have dire consequences for tourism and job creation, as well as all the other recreational activities that would also be suspended. So I think the picture is bleak, and that it really does require national intervention.
Yeah, and I mean, Dr. River has indicated that there is a huge impact that bureaucracy has on the changing of the situation. And I wonder if the Durbanites against plastic pollution would have a thought on that, the bureaucracy and all the loopholes or the red tape that you'd have to go through to make sure that some change is instituted.
Yeah, that is an issue in all parts of the country, and that's one of the reasons that the city puts forward is that just procurement processes to fix infrastructure takes a very long time. So it requires an enormous amount of patience, and that's why the community and the NGOs have just got on with it. Dr. River's a great example. They've taken on the responsibility of collecting thousands of bags of rubbish from the river mouth, from the beaches, because the city is just not doing enough. And the Dr. River and Durbanites Against Plastic Pollution have now also started our own water quality testing to use those results to inform and educate the public about the real threats to our Durban beaches. And that's really one way to address the bureaucracy. But, we're also putting pressure on provincial government and national government to get involved, to work closer with the municipality to try and speed up the remediation of the sewage system.